Ethan Vale had always considered himself unremarkable, a frontier farmer on the colony world of Ashvale 7. His days consisted of tending hydroponic crops and maintaining atmospheric processors. The galaxy was vast. Humanity had spread across 1,000 worlds. But Ethan's corner of it was quiet, peaceful, and desperately ordinary. That changed the moment he found Naira. The creature was no larger than his forearm when he discovered her near the western irrigation field, half buried in the violet sand. At first, Ethan thought she was some kind of exotic lizard, perhaps an undocumented native species. But as he brushed the sand away, his breath caught. Obsidian scales caught the light of Ashvale's twin suns, refracting it into prismatic patterns. Her wings, translucent and veined with silver, twitched weakly. Her eyes, when they opened, were galaxies unto themselves, swirling nebulae of gold and crimson. "What the hell are you?" Ethan whispered. The creature made a sound somewhere between a chirp and a growl. She was starving, that much was clear. Against every instinct that screamed this was a terrible idea, Ethan scooped her up and brought her home. Over the next 3 days, Ethan learned that Naira was intelligent. Frighteningly so. She learned to mimic his words within hours, though her vocabulary remained limited to single syllables and fragmented phrases. She consumed nutrient paste meant for livestock with desperate enthusiasm, growing noticeably larger with each meal. By the second day, she was the size of a large dog. By the third, she could spread her wings fully and hover for several seconds. Ethan tried researching what she might be. His datapad yielded nothing. No colony records, no biological databases, not even speculative xenobiology journals mentioned anything remotely similar. It was as if Naira didn't exist in any official capacity. On the evening of the third day, everything changed. Ethan was outside, watching Naira practice her flight in the fading light, when the sky darkened. Not with clouds or the approach of night, but with something far more ominous. Ships materialized from quantum fold space, appearing in perfect geometric formation above his modest farmstead. Thousands upon thousands of them, each one a sleek nightmare of black metal and angular design. His communication console erupted with warnings. Every frequency, every channel, screamed the same automated message in a dozen languages. "Imperial fleet detected. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill." Ethan's hands shook as he pulled up the scanner. The numbers made no sense. 9,753 vessels. Each one registered as a Dreadnought-class warship, the kind that could glass a planet in minutes, and they were all hovering directly above his farm. Naira made a sound, a low, resonant hum that Ethan felt in his chest. She looked up at the ships, her galaxy eyes swirling with recognition. A single vessel descended, larger than the others, its hull etched with symbols that seemed to writhe and shift. It landed with surprising delicacy in Ethan's yard, crushing his vegetable garden but somehow avoiding his house. A ramp extended with a hiss of hydraulics. What emerged made Ethan's knees weak. The beings were vaguely humanoid but clearly not human. They stood nearly 3 meters tall, their bodies covered in scales similar to Naira's but darker, more mature. They wore armor that seemed to be grown rather than forged, organic and technological simultaneously. Their eyes, those same swirling nebulae, fixed on Ethan with an intensity that made him want to disappear. The lead figure stepped forward. When it spoke, its voice resonated not just in the air but somehow directly in Ethan's mind. "Human," it said, the word carrying both curiosity and something that might have been respect. "You have cared for the air." Ethan's mouth opened and closed uselessly. Naira chirped excitedly and flew to the tall being, who caught her with surprising gentleness. The creature's severe expression softened almost imperceptibly. The air was lost during a translation accident through the quantum fold. The being continued. "We have searched 73 star systems over 42 solar rotations. We had begun to lose hope." "She's a baby," Ethan finally managed. "I found her in the sand. She was starving." The being's head tilted, studying him. "You could have consumed her. Sold her. Experimented upon her. Your species has done worse for less." "She was hurt," Ethan said simply. "What kind of monster would I be?" For a long moment, silence hung between them. Then the being did something unexpected. It bowed. Not a slight nod, but a full formal bow that bent it nearly in half. Behind it, every visible soldier did the same. The Draconeer Imperium does not forget kindness shown to its royal line, the being said. You preserved the life of the Emperor's daughter. You fed her, sheltered her, and asked nothing in return. This is unprecedented. Ethan looked at Naira, who was now being fussed over by several of the soldiers, all cooing at her in that resonant mind voice. She's the Emperor's daughter. The only heir. The future of our entire civilization. The being straightened. I am Commander Zarix. I must ask, human, why? Your species is known to us. Ambitious, territorial, often violent. Yet you helped? Ethan shrugged, feeling surreal. She needed help. It's not complicated. Zarix made a sound that might have been laughter. Simple kindness. Perhaps that is why your species survives despite its chaos. The commander gestured, and several soldiers brought forward what looked like a small chest. The Emperor will wish to thank you personally, but protocol demands immediate compensation. This contains access codes to Imperial trade account, mineral rights to 3 uninhabited systems, and diplomatic credentials that grant you and your bloodline-protected status within Imperium space. Ethan stared at the chest. I just gave her some food. You gave her life, Zarix corrected. The difference matters. Naira broke free from her handlers and flew back to Ethan, landing on his shoulder despite now being far too large for it. She nuzzled against his cheek, making happy chirping sounds. She's bonded to you, Zarix observed, sounding both pleased and concerned. This complicates things, but not unpleasantly. The Emperor will be curious to meet the human who earned his daughter's trust in 3 days. As the fleet prepared to depart, Ethan watched them load Naira onto the command ship. She kept looking back at him, and despite the impossibility of it all, he felt a pang of loss. Will I see her again? He asked. Zarix's expression was unreadable. Human, you saved the future Empress of the Draconeer. You will be welcome in our realm until the stars grow cold. The commander paused. Though I suggest you prepare yourself. Imperial gratitude can be overwhelming. The ships departed as swiftly as they'd arrived, folding back into quantum space with barely a whisper. Ethan stood alone in his yard, staring at a chest worth more than his entire planet, and wondered what he'd gotten himself into. Somewhere in the distance, his communication console was exploding with messages from the Colonial Authority, demanding to know what had just happened. Ethan smiled tiredly and went inside to make coffee. After all, if he was about to become a diplomat to a dragon empire, he'd need to be well caffeinated. Humanity, it seemed, had just made some very powerful friends, all because one unremarkable farmer couldn't walk past a creature in need.